So the other day I was scrolling Twitter, as one does, and I saw a tweet from another YouTuber who, I'm not going to say his name because, well, my community is cool and goated to the core. I don't want to risk some dumbass dweeb taking upon themselves to harass someone over a simple statement on the internet, and if you're familiar with the COD community, you know that's a very likely scenario. But anyway, the tweet read like this, quote, "Hot take, I have zero issues if the game has any quote-unquote pay-to-win elements, as long as people are actually buying it. This is because Zombies needs a way to make Activision money. With no more paid DLC, Zombies is losing a big part of the revenue it used to give to Activision," unquote. Now, this isn't the first time I've seen this quote being said. Hell, I've actually seen this sentiment being shared around very frequently since before Cold War Zombies even came out. And I'm here to say, luckily, this just isn't the case. And I know that might seem a bit confusing to some because on paper, that is just how business works. If something isn't making you money, you just stop doing it, or you don't at least prioritize it over something that does. But that's just not how the monetization system that COD has adapted since 2019 works, and that's not their plan with the content game. And I'm here to explain why that's the case. So let's go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. Ever since the release of 2019 Modern Warfare, Call of Duty has moved away from the standard of paid DLC being a way to continue to make profits off a game after it's launched, and has moved to a similar structure found within the free-to-play games like Fortnite, having, you know, store bundles and battle pass to make a blend of the profit of either one title. And while you can get into the trenches on whether or not this is pro-consumer or what have you, spoiler alert, I don't think it is, it's just the way things are now. And it's easy to see this and think, well, most of these bundles are stuff centered around multiplayer and Warzone, so how does that make Zombies more profitable or give Zombies a reason to be, you know, prioritized in the cycle? And that's because you're looking at it in the wrong view. To start off with the most obvious thing, while you can argue that the bundles are catered for those players, you can also have bundles centered around zombie stuff, like the Maxis operator from Cold War Season 2. Hell, according to a lot of the reports from the time, Maxis is actually the best-selling bundle ever up to that point. You know, that's obviously including the MW 2019 shit, like fucking Ghost. But aside from that, all the content in bundles can be used in some form in Zombies. Every single operator and gun in multiplayer is usable in Zombies, which includes, you know, tracer weapons mastercrafts, such as that hentai gun from Cold War. The skins for cars can be equipped in Outbreak, which will be coming back in Gulf War. I'm sorry if anyone is saddened by that news, but just don't play it, forehead. That being said, please don't have another fucking DLC slot dedicated to it. I liked Outbreak, but releasing it as DLC 2, literal weeks after DLC 1, was, well,
very interesting, but stupid.
Getting back on topic though, everything in a bundle has some appeal to a Zombies player, which is where we get really deep into the meat and potatoes with this. Bundles are hugely successful. You can literally look on the graph and see Activision's already massive profits skyrocketed once bundles became the norm, with its lowest part, ironically, being in Vanguard's life cycle. And COD wasn't really hurting for money beforehand either, but because of this and how successful they are, bundles are the only thing Activision cares about anymore. And so that begs the question, if that's the only thing Activision cares about, what would keep a mode like Zombies important to them in its life cycle and give them a reason to justify giving Treyarch millions of dollars in resources to make a funny little side mode? That's where we look at the real metric that Activision uses to determine how successful a mode is nowadays. And it's not looking at just how many people buy a DLC anymore like it was in the old days, but it's now how many people are playing something. Because, well, I mean, you need players to be playing a game to fucking buy bundles. I'm sure there's probably weirdos out there who hop on a game they don't like just to buy a bundle, but they're not the majority. So you're going to want to keep players playing your game as long as possible, because the more they play your game, the higher and higher of a chance they have to buy bundles at some point. It's why in multiplayer you see shit like SBMM being so strict, it makes Severus Snape look like the chill teacher at Hogwarts, and dumb shit like that. Which brings us to Zombies. Zombies is no different. Activision's goal with Zombies isn't to make the most amount of gross profit purely off the mode anymore, because even with that strategy, they just didn't make as much money as they could be making. Their goal now is to just keep the most amount of concurrent players as they possibly can on their game. In their eyes, we're not fucking people who enjoy the game are playing. We're just a potential bundle customer to Activision, and they don't want to see the amount of potential customers keep going up, which is how and why Activision justifies pumping more and more money into it each year. And it's why there's such a focus on stuff like Outbreak, because while the online crowd might not be the biggest fans, to put it it lightly, people ate that shit up in Cold War. I mean, official reports claim that Outbreak had more concurrent players at its launch than any zombie experience ever had before. And this would be including launch maps. And yes, there is more ways they could be directly monetizing zombies. Like I said, Samantha and Weaver did really well in Cold War, so you could have more bundles centered around zombie-specific characters. And while I do kind of fucking hate that option because I hate how Weaver and Maxis were locked into bundles, it's still an option if Activision ever felt like it needed to be monetized more. And like someone suggested, since we know from leaks that a set crew will be returning in Gulf War, but will work more similar to the World War II system where you can play as anyone if you really want to, you can start selling bundles for the Gulf War set crew to help monetize it even more, or give us more zombie-specific bundles like the Ray Gallo from Cold War. So while Zombies is doing fine, because the point of each COD game is no longer to get people to keep buying DLCs, now to just get people play it so they buy a bundle. So as long as Activision sees that people are still enjoying and playing the mode and having consistently high concurrent players, like it has been for the last, well, I would say year, but Vanguard kind of threw a wrench in that analogy. But as long as they keep seeing how successful the game is and people playing it and flocking to it, they won't need to, they will feel like it's justifying itself with the amount of eyes are being brought onto the game. There's a reason why Zombies has been brought back so many fucking times in a rushed ass state, because Activision knows Zombies is so successful. So while Zombies is already fine and has reasons to be prioritized thanks to that new system, if players ever did start to drop off or Activision felt like they needed to prioritize and monetize the mode more, there are already multiple ways to do that that would probably be more successful than just fucking adding pay-to-win shit. That would just hurt their reputation and the quality of the mode as a whole. But let's be honest, Activision's a fucking game publisher. They do not give a fuck if the game sucks. Anyway, that's all I need to get off my chest for the day. I'll see you guys later, and remember to check the link down below to donate to a special fundraiser I'm running. Last day is April 15th, so please donate if you can. Peace.